Welcome back to Single Player Party. This is the weekly solo board game Kickstarter update. So I'm going to round up all the crowdfunding stuff that's on Kickstarter right now. And last week I know I covered GameFound a little bit, but there's going to be no time for it. We're into September and there is now a lot of stuff on Kickstarter, and it looks like a lot of it is solo playable. So we're going to get started here. The first one I have here is Green Hell. And so this one looks like it's kind of trying to be a little creepy. Probably some cannibalism in here. But it looked really cool. I like the presentation of all this stuff. Looks kind of like a nightmare, but it's fully cooperative, non-legacy campaign. So that means, if anybody doesn't know, legacy is you go through the box, you maybe put stickers on the board game, or you tear up cards, and so you're gonna kind of one and done the box. I'm sure most of you are already aware of how it works, but for anybody who isn't familiar, that's what a legacy means. But this one's gonna be a game you can replay. Looks like it's campaign style, so a lot of times they'll include elements that will add a replay. You play a different character, you play a different class, different equipment and things to get. So I'm curious if they say anywhere on here specifically that it's kind of like horror driven or anything. Not sure, but it looks like these tiles are kind of like Seventh Continent type tiles here. Oh wow, that's interesting. And watch the way these dice are rolled. They create shapes to add to your tableau. Very interesting. So one thing I want to highlight on here is that I'm going to be brief about a lot of these ones because there's a lot to go through. There's a lot of campaigns, and I'm doing this so that you can come here, click on the links, get you right to the stuff that is solo playable, so you're not having to sift through all this stuff on the Kickstarter main page, the Kickstarter tabletop, or do any kind of like sorting or anything. This is everything that's popped up that's board game soloable on Kickstarter since the last time I spoke to you. So this one I like the style. This has got a little tumbler here. Is that for the dice? Those look like little cubes that aren't dice, but I do like crafting systems. So this game, I noticed, had a crafting system in it, which is really cool. I've been wanting to fool around with like some kind of crafting system, but I really like the way that these pieces are coming together, from the way you roll them, the way they enter your tableau, and then it looks like you've got some stuff to maybe like maybe like a recipe card, that you to combine all the things. I really like that. So Rolling Solo gave it a review. Rolling Solo's got a lot of people, a lot of followers online. I like his content a lot. So I thought I saw there was some miniatures in some of the images above, but it looks like you get character standees. So maybe that is a dice tower, so it's not just for cubes. And it's got kind of like Friday, you've got your green, yellow, and red map cards. Probably as you increase in scariness, difficulty, etc. But I thought that this one looked really cool. Galactus Games. Galactus spelled with a K. Nice. I like the way that's done. Let's see what we're doing here. I don't know what Peel and... I mean, it's almost double funded. So they're covering a lot of languages, which is cool. So it's coming out of Poland. Looks like it's in the Polish currency. So I know there's a lot of great Kickstarter companies out of Poland. So I mean, there's even some manufacturing starting in Poland too. So, or has been. I just heard about some of it recently. But so yeah, Poland on the board game map. Let's dive into the next one we've got here. So this was Limbo, Eternal War. Looks like it's well funded, and it's out of Australia. 1,100 backers. That's awesome. This one looks like it's caught some viralness. So it's got this solo mode with a little unlock here. So I don't know if this was 1 to 4 players and then maybe some kind of like solo adventure was added after. That's always a concern, but this is definitely one to check out. It looks really cool. This is edition 1.5, so I'm not familiar with the first edition of this. If this isn't truly a 1.5, I thought I read that somewhere. Yeah, 1.5. It is in the title. It doesn't really come up here early on, but then it is mentioned again down here on this banner. So for returning backers, you can find a 1.5 upgrade kit as an add-on selection. That is super cool. You gotta love it when they support their first edition with like a 1.5 update. That's awesome. So that's probably why this is finding a lot of traction. So I'm coming at this from the angle of I have not played every game. I'm not currently able to back a lot of games. I am telling you the ones that I am allowed to back, that I am backing, but it's purely budget related. So a lot of this stuff is already out there, already has an audience. These guys already do. They've already created 5. Let's take a peek at this, like checking the createds. Because it matters. It matters how many backers they had. It counts how many that you weren't even funded. So looks like in August they tried to launch this and it didn't have too good of a start, so they had canceled it. So you've got like a bust, so they were trying to do some kind of like figure or just some kind of art piece that looks like it was funded. It had 83 people who jumped in on that, and you had almost 2,000 people on the first Eternal War. So if you're already a backer on that, if you've received it, you've tried it, comment below. Let us know how that game is. You can always check it out on Board Game Geek, see what the reviews are. But I'm not researching any of these on Board Game Geek specifically because a lot of these, you know, it's not a 1.5. It's not something that already existed and now it's on Kickstarter again. So we're on here, we're doing the research, I'm getting you straight there, and I encourage you to click on some of these links and go check out further on your own. But it looks like 1.5 was canceled and this is the relaunch. It looks to be a lot more successful. I mean, it's just been up for a little while, 22 days to go, and 150% funded. And it looks like they had even a 75 millimeter miniature for the game. This looks like maybe it was like maybe a mini expansion or something. Or perhaps the first game didn't come with a lot of miniatures, and they had 400 backers for that alone. So it looks like that probably funded. I like the look of this one. I like that it's got a solo adventure. Some of those miniatures back here look huge. I like miniatures a lot. I had a few Warhammer 40k armies. I had some War Machine stuff. I never got around to paying most of it, so I like to play the games. I know I don't have time for painting, so miniatures don't attract me a lot. I do like them, but I'm actually kind of interested in, and I haven't played many games with it yet, so you know, maybe I won't like it as much, but let me know if you've tried the acrylic standees with the pre-painted miniatures on them. Those actually look kind of cool. You can't really beat the heft of a nice big figure though, moving around a board and then moving around your own little figure. Just, I don't feel like it's so great for me when I'm moving around all these unpainted miniatures. The high detail ones are really cool. So looks like you're unlocking more and more miniatures, maps. They've got social stretch goals, so if you get in here on time early-ish now and you can help along with those, that's kind of cool. Free stuff just for helping spread the word, and that only does good things. So a new experience for the solo campaign. It makes me curious if there was much solo content in the version 1, because maybe this is an additional solo campaign, or maybe this is the first solo campaign. It's not really clear right here, but they did unlock it. Unlocking solo campaigns doesn't evoke the most confidence I feel for us as solo players. You know, we look for games with a true solo experience. Under Falling Skies. Um, you know, there's quite a few of them out there. Hostage Negotiator now. So some of these where it's a stretch goal, it makes you really wonder if they designed that with solo play in mind. And a lot of times they do. That content might cost extra to produce, so they add it on the back end, but that's not always the case. So it could have been an afterthought, which, you know, we don't like to hear that. We want to know that it was in the mind from the start. And for the most part these days, solo gaming is so prevalent that I think it really is built into a lot of these games as they design them from the ground up. So we've got Limbo Eternal War 1.5. Looks pretty cool. Next is one I am backing. So I backed at the $45 level for this. I have all the other 10 mints. I have almost all of them. This is the newest one. I have played these and I like them a lot. On this one, I'm getting this new one, which is kind of like a meta game. You don't need the other ones to play this, but it is a meta game, kind of a love letter to all their other games, which is kind of cool. I mean, the idea is great. If you have a little, you know, empire of games like this, it's really cool. People fanboy out a lot about these, and Mint 10 games are like just 10 games that come in at 10 are very popular now. I'm sure you've got some. I just got Gate. Looking forward to playing that one. Like I said, I have 4 or 5 of these. And I really started, I think I backed the original when it was first on here. I like these ones a lot. And just that packaging, I mean, I kind of feel like they were one of the first people to revolutionize and bring on the map, like, hey, you can get a game in these little 10s. Now, I have some older dice games that are in a little bit of a larger 10, but these of the mint size, like, you know, Altoids or whatever. I think the old ones I have, like bowling dice and Chekhov and a couple other ones, but those were a little bit chunkier. And it was cool that somebody at some point saw those in a production line and are like, hey, how much does that cost? Let me throw a game in it. I can avoid the box. But please come check this one out. I'm a backer, so I don't need to say much more about this. You should definitely come check that one out. That's high recommendation for me on that one. This one looked really cool. It's a little expensive. Band of Brothers Old Breed. These guys pump out these war games. And so I'm thinking GMT. I think last time I mentioned whoever was the manufacturer on the last one I mentioned, I think in the first video, they had made a ton of them. Like, oh, I don't know who these guys are. This one's Worthington Publishing. They've got a bunch. I think this one's, like, to get in though, is not cheap. $69. So most of these hover around $70 to $80 for these box with games with a lot of punch tokens, these small hex grids. This one has solitary. Suitable is mid-range. So take that for what you will. Like, I like that they're upfront about this stuff. Game complexity, medium. Solitary suitability, medium. But it's only for 1 or 2 players. So I take that on this one as, you know, we probably designed it for 2 players, but it's pretty strong solo. And this is definitely one that would go on my list. I would love to check out down the line. I have a couple games in this category that I've been able to pick up at flea markets for like $5 or $10, and so I need to play this type of game before I go thinking, oh yeah, I want to, you know, get more of these style of games. I do like the crunchiness. A lot of people will call these, you know, spreadsheet games. I don't think this is like, it might not be as bad as some of them, but a lot of times you're referencing different sections of the book. I don't think it's going to be like that 1,500-hour game where, you know, you're checking fuel levels on, you know, tanks. Was that the War for North Africa? Yeah, so I don't think it's going to be like that. But this one's well-funded, 6x funded, 600 people, plenty of time to go. So if you're looking for more token-based World War II style games in that vein, this one's your Band of Brothers Old Breed South Pacific. So that one looked pretty cool. Next I have Game of Hunt, the Family Magnetic board game. Now that's interesting. This one jumped out to me, just like the idea of like magnets. So I haven't dived through this. I have a young toddler who's 3, going on 4 soon. This game's 5+. By the time they deliver, she might be 5. So this one is based out of, looks like it's in Norway. It was in oh my gosh, it is late at night. I'm brain farting on the currency, but yeah, the European Union currency. So this one's gonna set you back euro, 35 euro, which for me is about $42 US. And then I haven't even looked at the shipping on this one. It is cool that it's magnetic, which actually, if you think about it, is a nice thing to add for younger players, because they tend to knock the board, they tend to move things around a lot, they tend to not respect a lot of the lines on a lot of the board games. But I mean, if you're going to play with somebody at that age, it is what it is. You're going to expect that. But it's a cool concept. It just depends. Like, are you getting less components so that they can add in the magnetizing elements to each component and the board? So you got to make sure the value is there on this. It could be gimmicky, but I think it's a great idea. I hope I haven't skipped past shipping. So this is where I will complain about, some of this stuff. Here we go, shipping and feeling. So I'll put on right here so you can look at this wall. So even made in the European Union, you're getting the best deal for shipping in the US. It's pretty interesting. Tied with the home country of Norway. And self pickup. That's cool. You hit it like that they offer that. There's going to be somebody who takes it up on that, and that person's going to really appreciate it. And you think about it too, as somebody who runs Kickstarters, you're going to have a lot of people picking up, you're going to have a lot of friends and family local who, they can stop by, and then you don't have to have them throw in the extra money or click that part of the button if you have an option for that available, which is nice. A lot of times you're not adding it into your base pledge anyways. It comes into the pledge manager after, but it's still a factor. And this leads me to just hunting for this shipping info. Reminds me about how I noticed here they're adding a couple of these tags down here about clicking, about navigation. And I remember mentioning last week, GameFound really good at the navigation for these pages. So I just wanted to mention them again. So come check out these magnetized 1 to 6 players. A lot of times when you're playing with a little kid, you're kind of playing by yourself until they knock something off the board, and you just pack it up anyways. But I thought this was cool. It has to be kind of a short Kickstarter because I don't believe this one was up last week, so it might be 21-day one or 20-day campaign, and they're not off to a great start. So only 43 backers. This one's going to need some help spreading the word, and I don't really see it happening. But I don't know. This one's already funded. The Artemis Odyssey, 1 to 5 players, standalone sequel to the Artemis Project. Now, I don't know the Artemis Project, or do I? Let's check their past createds. I'm checking this right now just to see what they've got that's been funded. This one had almost 800, 100, 2,000 for endangered species. Endangered new species. Endangered. So looks like this game... Man, they've got some backers on a lot of these. This looks cool. So Artemis Project, 2,200 people. Looks like it was really successful. The new one's already funded. If you're already a fan of this Grand Gamers Guild, you probably already heard about it. They probably got a lot of, I mean, not everybody is backing all of these, so they're building quite an audience when you get 2,000 backers on this game, 2,000 backers on that game, another 2,000 backers on this. So they've got quite an audience. I wouldn't be surprised if their mailing list is like 10,000 people plus. So that's really cool. So I wanted to look more into this one, Artemis Odyssey. But now I have to check out Artemis Project because I don't know that one. If you have that one, played it, comment below. Let us know how that one went. I'm very curious. So, it's including game trays, which is nice. That's awesome. More and more people are including that kind of stuff, and it just is fantastic. Look at these molds. These are very cool. Oh, I love the alien cities. They've got little terraformer domes transforming the planets. Some factories. I like the art style on this. So you're getting a lot of cards. A lot of little cardboard. Probably made out of cardboard. Planets. 80 miniatures. I mean, I think that they were mentioning this up here, right? 81 plastic miniatures for $65. This looks like a significant value. So I might recommend this one on kind of value alone. Looks like most people are getting in at the Odyssey Kickstarter level. You got 111 people going for the bundle, which would be plus the Artemis Project Kickstarter edition. Now that is super cool. I want to highlight this here too. For them to offer the original Kickstarter edition of the first one again is awesome. The windows for Kickstarters, I mean, it's a whole conversation to be had about Kickstarter exclusives, and it's a lot of gray area. They're going to need to produce a lot of them to bring down the costs, especially as a small publisher. You're going to sell them at conventions, and now COVID's killed conventions. Maybe you move them through Board Game Geek, something special like that. Selling them on your website's kind of cheesy, but I do believe that they should be willing to be brought back in a future Kickstarter, because you've got people who are already fans of Kickstarter, new to Kickstarter. They're called Kickstarter exclusives, and they might have limited it. They might not have unlimited amount of these. They might be producing more of them. That'd be interesting. This is not a limited reward, which I'm kind of surprised to see. But actually, like, the value on that, it's expensive, $130. But you're gonna get 2 games, and you're gonna get the Kickstarter version of both of them. That's really cool. This would be very high on my radar if I had budget for it. I really like the art. If you notice, I'm not clicking on any of the videos. I want to see the information here. I'm already wasting a lot of time rambling on each of these, so you can hear me ramble about them. But I think the point of this is going to be the links that I provide. And if you want to hear my blurb, you can jump to it about it. But this is so that you don't have to go sifting through the Kickstarter board game section or page or whatever. So remember, this is all about shortcuts. But yeah, this one seems cool in a lot of different ways. So if you like, it might be 4X. I mean, it looks very 4X-y. Like, the miniatures kind of represent like 4X, right? It's like explore, expand, exploit. I don't know about exterminating, but probably killing something in this game. So I don't know. This one's definitely high on the list. I like that one. This one is very cool too. I missed the first one of this. So this is an expansion. This is a true solo. And in future videos, maybe I'll start ranking them. Right now, I'm kind of ranking. Right now, I'm delivering them by order in which they are the newest. So the first one would be the oldest one since the last video I did. And so the last one you'll see in this video is the highest one shown as of this video. I think in the future I might start ranking these by true solos first, maybe by their solo compatibility, or maybe by recommendation or what seems the most polished or will fund. We'll figure it out. Let me know in the comments below if there's any order you'd like to see things in. So this is an expansion. This looks super cool. Joe Slack is very active. Maybe not very, but he is active in the design communities. In the I've just seen his name a lot. I've seen him speak a lot. I think I've seen him give strong advice. I've seen him be supportive. He seems like a cool guy in the solo and board gaming, like Facebook groups and stuff. So it looks like the first one did really well. I really look forward to playing the first game. And then if you already have the first game or you missed it, check out this for the expansion, a print and play. It's kind of expensive for a print and play, but it's not too bad, and it looks like there's depends on how much like art pieces are in there. It can still be so expensive to produce a game just by commissioning all the art. So getting an expansion for 26, and he's including an option here for the base game. So this might be the repress, because I don't even know if you can get your hands on the base game. This might be that's one thing to think about with some of these ones that are expansion based and small publishers. A lot of times the Kickstarter is the only way to get the original game, because they have to do small batch runs. That's why you'll see a second, third, fourth edition, but a second, third, fourth printing, even though it's still the first edition. I'm not even going to go too deep into this one. So far, if you click on any that I've talked about, I think this should be the highest. It's a true solo, so definitely want to check this one out. Should probably highlight it in some way, but I don't know how to do that on the YouTube. But there it is. Next we have, okay, to me it just looks like Agemonia. I don't know. Pronouncing, not my strong suit. So out of Denmark, already funded. Looks like it was probably a 21-day campaign. 1,000 backers already. Some very interesting art. What a beautiful map they've got here. I like that town scene. They've got this blue and white kind of like art style, very Blizzard-esque. Blizzard loves the blue and white, especially in like a lot of the World of Warcraft stuff. This looks like a big box too. What's the damage on this box? A miniatures box for €70 with no gameplay. So for €30 more, you get the core box. So that tends to be about the going rate. $100 for one of these big campaign-esque type games. This one looks cool, so that's a lot of minis. $84 miniatures. That's a decent amount. So this looks like campaigny, maybe like, a Descent, a Gloomhaven style, what's one of the other ones that's been out recently. I've seen a lot of advertising for. Starts with an M. So yeah, I would say if you like campaign style games, this looks like it's got kind of like a tribal kind of, look at this, tribal fantasy kind of theme. Very cool. I like the art a lot. So check out Agemonia from the publisher of Eclipse. It's pretty good, right? An epic campaign. Epic campaigns sound fun, so I would say that's a good one to bounce to. Then we've got this Arkosa, a bunker building board game. Now that was kind of like, for me, like, what's a bunker building? So it's got an interesting art style. It's saying it's exclusive to Kickstarter, which a lot of things in small press need to be. This was probably a 30-day project. 200 backers to take $10,000. That, they're putting in a lot of money for that already, but it's halfway there. It looks like it will fund. That's where I like to see Kickstarter campaigns. You know, getting halfway there in the first week. That'll dial it in pretty quick. New box as voted by our backers. That's cool. So, excuse me. So you might be able to be in here and voting on things for other stuff. Oh, look, they've calculated the possible starting combinations. Almost 9 million. Gotta love that. So does that lead to true replayability? It depends. Depends on how you feel about micro changes. They've got a lot of great reviewers here. So looks like they went nuts with the preview people. So they've got a lot of the great reviewers already on there checking it out. So I encourage you to go maybe listen to some of those reviews. I really don't know what this one's doing. So, a race for salvation. It's not grabbing me. So maybe it'll grab you. Maybe one of those reviews will draw you into this. I'm kind of not feeling it. But interesting, and it has solo option. So, Dungeons of Infinity. I love the way that this little tableau is. It's nice. You can have your little cube dialed right in. Reminds me of like Roll Player, putting your little dice cubes into the little trays. So this one has a really good aesthetic. High fantasy always draws me in. You get some miniatures. You equip your hero. It's got a nice little tableau for all the things, probably fighting, stamina, magic, healing, all the great D&D-esque things. Nice little gif here for the combat. Like to see that. More rolling solo reviews. So this is cool. I like that they did this. So Board Game Geek reviews and the rankings are, they are what they are. They don't represent exactly how things are dialed in. But for the most part, it's basically a function of how many people have reviewed it. The more people review it, the more accurate it's going to be, because you got a lot of people who love to throw out 10s and 1s, and there's really no basis for it. It's not like Rotten Tomatoes where they weight critics and reviewer and audience and that kind of thing, and there's no way to dial that in for real. But it's gonna, a really high ranking is gonna be good. And this is, it says for the first edition, so I'm not sure what that means. This is this a second edition? So you play through 30 challenging dungeons in the campaign mode. Okay. So maybe it's upgrading it to this box looks just like this one. So is this just adding maybe it's an expansion? So you've got an expansion on here, a base game, deluxe edition. So it looks like they're adding some content. So if you played this one, comment below, let us know. I could go read Board Game Geek, but I'd rather hear from you directly here on this one while it's active. Let's participate. Okay, this one is called The Spill. Now, The Spill is by Kurt Covert, and he is a super nice guy. I've met him at Gamma for a couple years. I use the same distributor that he used back for my first game. He did Cutthroat Caverns. He's Smirk and Dagger. Just a super great guy. What caught my eye about this one, recently he did, what was it called? The candle looking game, The Night Cage, which, obviously lent rise to a lot of Nicolas Cage memes, which is always awesome. Something that's gimmicky and cool about this one is using a dice tower to distribute dice as they're rolled. So kind of interesting. It's nice to see a dice tower being used as a gameplay element. I'm sure it's been done before, but this one's kind of thematic. You got your oil rig, dice tower, black dice spilling out into the ocean. Very interesting. If I could support this guy right now, I would. I really like his stuff. I saw down here there was some stuff about like real world, like he was talking about conservation and some like real world ramifications. There's Kurt and stuff like that. So come check this one out. Give him a chance. Look this one all the way over. See if it can win you over, because I think that this is it's not a true solo, but I like the art's great. Kind of has like a pandemic art kind of feel with like this War of Mine. Like, I don't know, I like the art style, and this would be a really good one to check. This reminds me of a Pip-Boy. It's interesting. Very cool. Yeah, check out The Spill. This one right here is already funded. I think it's going to go pretty high. So tournament fishing. Kind of a theme that, worldwide people can support. Everybody loves fishing for food, whatnot. This one was really interesting in that, I feel like I just have to mention, just alone for what they're adding to this game for the deluxe version, which is just kind of unreal. I don't know if I've ever seen something so generous. But so their all-in pledge is $100. You're getting this crazy cool wooden box with an insert, the game, the expansion. I think the playmat is double-sided, wooden dice, and 8 packs of sleeves. I think these guys are dialed in because they have some gaming stores. They are mostly, I don't know if anybody who works, I think it's 2 guys who run the Game & Go. I don't know if they're designers, but they're obviously publishers, and I think they handle logistics, which is what you want to see when somebody's adding elements like this. They should be dialed in on the costs, because if anybody else was doing this, I would be very nervous seeing them try to throw the whole kitchen sink in here for $100. You get 2 games, all this stuff. gets me a little nervous. But um, the other thing I will say, starting another con, is that they haven't delivered the first game yet. I don't believe the other game they've kickstarted, this one Mob Big Apple, I think it's in post production and it's probably logistically on its way to people, but I don't believe it's been delivered yet. So there are like 2 red flags on this one. However, they've put out other, like they've licensed to publish other big games like Black Sonata, which is, a solo player staple. So if they've already delivered and they have a supply chain for their retail side, that's going to be pretty easy to dial it in on the manufacturing side, which I think I've been to their website before, and they have a shop with quite a few titles. So if they're already not just selling those, like licensing them to manufacture them, that means they've already got their production supply chain up and running. I think the game and this Kickstarter page are going to stand well enough on its own, but I wanted to point out how unique this one is for this $99 pledge, which is kind of a no-brainer if they've been delivering games already. So maybe do a little research more on them, which I'm sure they wouldn't mind you doing. You're going to see their store, their catalog, other things they got going on. So they definitely want you to click on their stuff. Check that out. I know they're a little active in the community. So, but you start adding this stuff up. $15 for a double-sided playmat. You got to be dialed in. I mean, most playmats with one side aren't that cheap. They're usually around $20. So it doesn't. I don't believe it says the size of the playmat. So maybe it's a little bit smaller. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a full-sized Magic the Gathering style playmat. Very interesting. Very interesting. I think the game's gonna be good. It looks interesting. But yeah, I just to keep slaughtering the word interesting, I think it's interesting when somebody's posting a Kickstarter and they haven't delivered the first one. It has to be noted. It has to be marked as a red flag. I think they've done other things in getting games to people through sales and maybe licensing and publishing, but Kickstarter only, they've got 2 things to look at. So if I didn't know all that stuff, I come looking at their Kickstarter page. Oh, looks good. They've created something before. Maybe I'd like that. Click on it. You look at some of the comments. Look at the updates. It's on its way, but it's not delivered yet. And then you look at this and you're like, oh, this looks good. And then all this stuff you're getting for the $40 MSRP $50 game looks totally right, dialed in on that stuff. And then $20 expansion. And then these boxes aren't going to be cheap. I mean, a wooden removable insert, upgrading to wooden dice. Sleeves are always so expensive and they add up so fast. I mean, it's fantastic when a game can come with them. They've got real world pictures of these, so they've already produced samples. They're adding pretty steady stretch goals, which are cool. They kind of come in fast and furious. So a separate solo manual to the game. That's interesting. It looks like it was designed with solo in mind from the start. Oh, they're even adding stitching to the playmat. Man, those playmats are going to get expensive. But think about it this way too. So I know some people get miffed about the fact that stretch goal is only going to matter to somebody who adds on the playmat or is getting that top tier, which just gives you more incentive to go for the top tier pledge level. Lots of social goals, so this could be easy to help them with, and not sure. Options will be some lures. And then shipping. So good. They break it down for each of the pledge levels. It's great to show. So shipping in the US, adding the wooden box is only adding $3 of shipping. So I think logistics is their thing. So they probably have really good deals for shipping things. But that box is going to add a lot of weight and dimensions to what's going on here. So they've got a disclaimer: due to the ongoing effects of COVID and the fluctuating rates in global freight and shipping, prices are subject to change. So this is, probably typical, right now, where a lot of people are having to put that caveat in there that, you're going to pledge now. We're not going to charge you the shipping now. We'll charge you shipping closer to the thing. And, one thing that's good and bad is you may give them your money, but if you find out now that shipping explodes, something happens, almost anybody who's established is going to give you a refund if, something happens. So there's that. So they're going to deliver in about a year from now, which is probably about right, given everything that's going on. So yep. Oh, some live events are going to be at Gen Con and Origins. Very interesting. They're going to do live streams. So they probably just had that one yesterday. Solo playthrough on the 12th. All right, mark your calendar for that. So that is tournament fishing. Very interesting. Just got 3 more left to go here. 5150 New Beginnings. This was kind of interesting. This guy has 10. A lot of about half of them have been canceled. So, but I don't think any of them had this many backers. 60 backers for 6,000. Somebody's in there for a lot of money, because I don't remember how much this one. Actually, this one might have been kind of expensive. Was this the one? 47 backers at $125. That's a lot of people. 47 doesn't sound like a lot of people. That's a lot of people to come in at the highest level. So he's maybe built an audience already for some of the other games he's released. There's not a lot of information on here, but it's kind of like solo campaign for something that looks like it might be kind of like RPG. You don't gotta get a lot of solo RPGs outside of like a choose your own adventure book, game books, that kind of thing. So maybe that'll lean towards this. But there's a lot of tokens. There's cards. So there's a game board. This one's interesting. Just kind of nervous about delivery on this one. It'd be interesting to look to see how many of this guy's delivered. And I mean, looks like he's got some people backing for this one, but it's solo and it looks interesting. So if that's your thing, that might be a really good one. I've been digging roll and writes lately. Here, I haven't been able to. I need to do more printouts of roll and writes. I've been playing designed, produced, boxed ones, kind of starting with the heavy hitters. This is cool because this guy's releasing a lot of them. They're all just print and play. So you got to have your own dice. This is kind of what the print and play file looks like. It's great because it's not going to be a big color hog. It's not sucking up a lot of black. There's not a lot of backgrounds. Just going to chew up some yellows on this. But very cool. This is cool. $3, and he's got a bunch of others. So I'm sure they're all on the PnP Arcade. You can get in for other ones here. He's created 8. His name's Derek. That's cool. Yeah, so it's already funded. So if you're looking for a $3 print and play, 1 to 4 players, there's that one. And then lastly, I have this one, Pixel Clash, which I'm kind of a sucker for pixel games. This one is a long campaign at 40 days, and they're only at 1,500. We'll see how the next couple days go for them getting to what I feel like is the crucial 40% in the first like 3 days, because after that you need to start getting towards some stretch goals. He's in the UK. The art looks, kind of like a blended. I mean, it is pixel, but it's like, is it 8-bit? Is it 16-bit? Is it just kind of like very generic? The art grabs me a little bit. I mean, I gotta be honest, I kind of like pixel art. But this one just really feels like more of the I have a game and a dream. And I love that. I mean, that's what I came to Kickstarter with in 2012. So I don't want anybody to not see this one and not give it a chance. So gut feeling is it's not gonna fund. I'll definitely come back and look at this one a little bit more. I don't think it's anything that I can spare cash for, but and I don't know if the value is dialed in. I saw it was like some of the pledge levels are for shirts and stuff, and I get why that's people try to do that thing, but I think that's just get your first game out and get the game, give some Kickstarter exclusives, and stick to the basics. Adding a custom card, that's cool. Like, you can be an early adopter on something and really help bring something to life, because anybody who comes in with a big pledge level and they help get the game made, hitting that's a lot less people that that person has to deliver to, and they can have extra copies to sell, and so there's kind of a balance there. But the shirt is the only, I think, extra thing on here, which isn't too bad. And if it really helps people get money for that, but it's just going to be an extra cost and extra shipping and extra. It's just too much extra. So it's pretty toned down. I feel like this person could have benefited from just kind of like maybe bugging some people who have had a lot of experience with Kickstarters. So I'm not even going to click on the video, but this is the last one I have for you guys today for the one more. What is this one? Oh yeah, a couple things I wanted to mention. So this is the last I have for the solo games. So this mention is interesting because it's cool to see Kickstarter is doing games international, but this one's completely in a different language. It's Denmark, so I don't know the language. I can't read it. There's nothing here in English. So it's funded. That's awesome. Good for them. Hopefully this is successful. They want to do some translations and get it out there, but I think this is like a little RPG for kids or something. But I wanted to mention it, just stumbling across something that was completely in a foreign language. There's a few others on Kickstarter like that. I hadn't really seen that before, but I hadn't really been paying attention. So now that I'm doing the show, I want to bring it to your attention. It's probably more common than I think. And then I'm not doing an honorable mention. This is basically my honorable mention. But I do want to do my accessory. So here is these magnetic hex things where you get tokens, trays, dice towers, card holders. These are pretty cool. I mean, I want something like that, but I've also been trying to make my own just for my own play at home, not anything I would like distribute. So I made this, which I will hold up, which is my Lego dice tower. This thing is way too like deluxe. It's got like a story going on inside of it, but that's my dice tower that I haven't actually used for playing a game yet. And then I'm working on building up, because I've got a limited footprint, trying to build up some like card holders, and I want to stack them up so I can put decks inside there. All just made out of Legos I have and have picked up recently. And then I made some hex trays like those. So I'm just doing it with Legos I have at home. But I has Legos lying around. But these look really cool. I don't know about the price on these. I think a lot of people are doing these themselves if you've got a 3D printer. Eventually I'd like to have space for a 3D printer because I would print a ton of board game accessories, which, you know, are really cool. So definitely check out the hex system. And I think other things like this have already been funded and delivered, but this is just another one to check out. Maybe they've optimized something the other ones haven't, and you know, there might be other things going on. This one looks like it's you get that picture in the background of Catan, and it looks very oriented for that because you can fit the hexes in there and then the towns and the roads right in there. So it seems dialed in for that. So thanks for checking out this week. I'll be back next week with what pops up between now and then. There's something big on Game Found, but I might mention it next week, especially if we have a slow Kickstarter week. Kickstarter's probably going to start ramping up a lot this month and October, and then as we get into December, it'll settle back down again, and then there'll be maybe like one or two really like big hype things, and then we can go more in depth into that then. But thanks for checking it out, and we'll see you next time.